What's going on, everybody? Green Room episode number 30, and this is actually on the Rake and Profit YouTube channel, which is a little different. Usually it's on the Bonafide Hustlers channel, but we want to welcome you over to this show tonight, and we're super excited to have all of you here. We have a special guest, Andy Slamans, who not only is a huge contributor in the reselling community and has done a lot to give back and add value, but he's killing it with private label. So I'm going to pass it off to Jan, go down to Eric and Andy. Everybody say hello for a second, and let's get ready for the show. I'm pumped up.
Yeah. Hey, guys. My name is Jan, also known as Retro Aficionado. I sell on eBay, Amazon, Antique Booth, Craigslist, and I'm dying to learn more about private labels, so I'm glad Andy's here. CP.
How's it going, everybody? We've switched it up a little bit onto Steve's channel because he has so much more viewers, so many more people are going to be watching this now. My name's Eric. Some people know me on YouTube as the College Picker. I make a video every single day and post it on my channel. I'm excited to learn about private label because I know nothing about it. I have been dabbling in Amazon for close to 3 or 4 years now, from books to electronics, garage sales, pawn shops, all that fun stuff, and make some good money when I'm not doing my day job, which is a pharmacist dealing drugs. So I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Andy.
Legally.
Legally. What they're going to get legally.
We have to clarify that.
Yeah, so I'm Andy Slamans. Happy to be here. I've been a huge fan of Steve for a long time. I've followed him on a lot of different things. So excited to be here in the green room.
Awesome, man. So thanks again. I just want to take a second to thank you for coming on to this show, Andy. I know you're a busy guy and you got a lot of things going on, so thank you so much. I know a lot of people behind the scenes have been asking for you and wanted to get you on the show, and we finally got around to it, so super pumped up about that. First, let's start off with a basic question, because I know a lot of people who watch my channel and the Bonafide Hustlers and follow the Green Room, they're big resellers, but more traditional resellers in terms of, selling on eBay or doing retail arbitrage or maybe flipping bikes on Craigslist. A lot of the, I don't want to say intermediate stuff, but a lot of the stuff that we all kind of went through on our process. So why don't you explain to the new people, the people who don't know what private label is, Andy, what exactly is private label?
Sure. So it's basically just connecting with a manufacturer who makes a product. Pre-show, we were actually talking about there's a new cell phone holder that you can put in your car, and I don't know if one of you guys has a picture of it, but there's a number of folks, they purchase this from a supplier in China, and then they basically just put their own brand on it. And so it can be the same thing selling on Amazon under like 20 different brands, and it's basically the exact same cell phone holder. And that's basically what private labeling is. You're connecting with the manufacturer, and you're just having them put your brand name on something.
Awesome, awesome. I want to get that out of the way real quick because I still remember, less than a year ago, I heard people talking about private label, and I'm like, what in the world is this? So thanks for sharing that. Before we dive into the content, could you maybe give like a little background, Andy, of maybe like what you've done, where you came from? Did you start on eBay? Where did you transition to? And maybe like talk a little bit about where you are current day in terms of your private label business to kind of give some context to this whole webinar.
Okay, sure. So I started on eBay like a lot of people did, just kind of dabbled in it. It was a hobby. I'm a bit of a cyclist, so I used to purchase high-end road bikes on Craigslist, and then I would resell them on eBay. Wasn't doing a lot of volume, but about 4 years ago, had a friend who was selling on Amazon. It was actually a next-door neighbor, and she kept telling me about these margins that she was making on purchasing books at thrift stores and then reselling them on Amazon. Now, when she first started telling me, I thought it was like a multi-level marketing scheme, right? Because she was saying that she was buying these books for $5 and then selling them for $100. I just thought there's no way, right? I'm sure we've all been hit up by our friends or family, right, for MLMs. And so I just kind of kept pushing her away, and finally I started kind of looking at what she was doing, and she was freaking right. She was buying these books, that were textbooks and then reselling them. And back then there were a lot less sellers. So she would go to library book sales, which now are hyper competitive. But and she was just making killer money. So I started to pay a little more attention to her. started helping her a little bit, and then finally said, man, I want to take the plunge. And so when I first started, actually, it was just as a hobby. It was just going to start making part-time income. So I did like a lot of typical sellers, sold a lot of stuff around my house. You know, I looked around and said, what's not nailed down? What can I sell? Went to garage sales, went to thrift stores, and then kind of built my business up from there. So I think my first year, again, it was part-time. I had a full-time job. I did about 120,000 on Amazon, and I was like, oh my goodness, this thing, it's like you know, it's killer how much sales go through on Amazon. And so then my business kind of got to a point where I had to decide either I needed to scale it down or we were going to transition and go full-time. And about that time, someone introduced me to private label, which for me was the key. I didn't necessarily enjoy, and I know a lot of people do, they enjoy the hunt, right? And it's kind of a treasure hunt when you go out and you go to those garage sales or you go to the thrift stores, and that's awesome. For me, I really wanted to build a sustainable business that I could run from my home or basically anywhere I was. And I knew in order to do that, I had to be able to order large quantity of inventory and to get that in. And so that's how, when I stumbled on private labeling, I knew that was the right business model for me.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people are in that situation. Young or Eric, man, what are your thoughts, man? Guys, do you ever see yourselves transitioning into private label, just for some of the benefits that he talked about?
Yeah, no, I mean, like we talked about right before the show, I mean, I had bought a course, which I'm sure yours is much better, Andy, and I will invest in your course. But I bought a course last year, and I was looking into getting into private label, and but I still have a lot of questions, man. Like, one thing I learned is your first product is the hardest, correct, Andy?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, like I tell people, which is typical, 85% of the process, right, is just picking the right product. The Amazon sales platform is so good that really, if you can pick the right product, it's going to sell. You pick it, and then I say about the other 15% is just launching it in the right way. And so, yeah, that is huge. 85% is just, being smart about picking that first product.
So the second question that I have then is, so when I was doing a lot, I was doing a lot of research last year. One thing that I found was, like, certain products that I researched, certain categories, there's a lot of competition. Like, at some point, where do you say that's just too much competition, or is there, or is competition good?
Yeah. So again, that's probably a mistake that a lot of folks make, especially when they're first starting out, because and generally what I teach is, and what's great about Amazon, they give us the best seller rank. And I know, like, if you're selling on eBay, you can use Terapeak and you can see the sales through, on different products. Well, Amazon, right, it's one of the few platforms that actually gives us the BSR, where we can really kind of gauge how many units that product is selling per month. And so, being able to see that ahead of time, it definitely minimizes your risk. But the mistake that a lot of people make is they'll see a product and they'll be like, man, that's a great product. They'll start to source it and they'll be like, oh my goodness, that's great margin. But then they fail to do the next step and to see how much competition there is, on Amazon. And then how quickly that competition can change. So Steve and I were just talking about a product pre-show, and right now it looks like there's probably about 8 or 9 listings, and it looks like some of the listings have holes in them, and so there's definitely opportunity there. But if Steve doesn't jump on that, within 2 or 3 months, there could be 8 more listings that he's going to be competing against. And so, that's one thing. You definitely want to try to find products with less competition, and there really are thousands of them out there. It amazes me, the members that are in my course, when they bring me product from research that they're doing, and generally, and you've probably heard this before, it's in like different niche categories, stuff that people wouldn't think about, but there are still thousands of products that even aren't on Amazon yet as well, that there's still a lot of consumer demand for. So I'll give you one little tidbit. I have a friend. He has 3 full-time programmers, and basically all they do, these 3 programmers, is they do keyword research somehow on Amazon, and they're basically doing keyword research on what Amazon customers are putting in the Amazon search bar, yet there are no products that come back when those queries go in there. And so this guy has 3 full-time programmers that are just coming up with lists like that, and then he goes and he creates bundles and products that fit those keywords. And so there's still a lot of opportunity, bottom line, I guess, out there.
One thing I really like about the private label compared to Kindle publishing, because that's what I was doing before, and I still do it on a part-time basis. But you know, for example, you find a Kindle book, maybe it's a keyword you go after like gardening or hydroponics or something like that.
Or paleo.
Or paleo. I mean, you could dominate that, and maybe if you're super, super lucky, make a couple grand a month off it. And that's like less than like 1 out of like 100,000 people. If you go and look at these products that are selling in the home and the health, and you're under 1,000, I mean, these things are bringing in some really good money. Now, granted, you know, there's a lot of processes to it, but the potential is there. And like Andy was saying, there are so many products. So just to kind of give some context to what I'm talking about, I actually invested in Andy's course about 3 months ago, and I didn't take any action, man. Like, I went through like your first webinar, and like I just stopped and like I was on the road and everything. But about a month ago, man, I've been diving through it, and like I just been going through it like crazy, and like it's getting me so excited because the potential is there. So I just kind of want to mention that your course, man. I just want to thank you. It's Alibaba to Amazon. It's great, man. So I appreciate that. And don't you have another one as well, just real quick? I don't want to talk about it too much now. Maybe after at the end of the show.
Yeah. So the Alibaba to Amazon one, it's kind of run out of a Facebook group. It's a little bit unorganized. The content is all there. So we actually developed another one that's on Teachable. That's very step by step. And so far we've got really good feedback from that one.
Awesome. So, Eric, do you have any questions, man? Because I know you were interested before the show. Anything that's kind of sticking out to you, or maybe a comment?
I do have a question. First, Andy, have you ever been to Asia at all?
Yes, I spent 2 weeks in China in 1997.
Okay, unrelated to private label, I guess.
Yes, yeah.
Would you say that going over there would be advantageous at all? Because I'm going to be traveling there. I might be spending a little bit more time there. I'll be in Southeast Asia, but I definitely could make a trip to China if that's where most of the sourcing, of course, comes from. And how would you take advantage of that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely anytime that you can have context where you're going to meet a supplier or a manufacturer face-to-face, it's always better. You know, because of different sites like Alibaba or global sources, it's not something that you have to do. But if you're over there already, then absolutely. And what you would want to do is you want to connect with somebody who's already over there who could kind of maybe show you like where the different malls are if you're not going during the time where they have a trade show. But anytime I think you can shake hands and see someone face to face, that's huge.
Cool, awesome.
We got a lot of people in the comment section. Young, do you happen to be going through the comment section all right now? Maybe shout some people out. I mean, we got a lot of love coming in for Andy and for the green room. Let's spread the love, man.
We have Peter Parambo. He says, I hit the like button when I logged on.
Okay.
3 clutter free. Thank you so much for watching. I know Tanya, 3D Treasures in here somewhere. Yeah, I mean, we have at least. On my screen, it says we have 127 watchers.
Wow. That's awesome. So if you guys are watching right now, if you want to ask a question, put the word question in all caps and ask your question, and that's going to make it easier for us to be able to ask Andy your questions. Also, if you like this topic, hit the like button, and we could definitely, bring you more content like this in the future and kind of share different things that other people are doing. So definitely hit that like button. But let's kind of take a step back, Andy, and because I really want to give people like a really good overview of like how to like get started with private label and kind of hit like the main pillars, like researching a product, talking to a supplier, knowing if a product can make you money. So let's kind of go back to the research again, because you put such emphasis on how important it is. Is there any tips you can give for somebody who's maybe they're going through your course or they're learning on their own or they're watching YouTube videos and they're in that research process? Is there any like golden nuggets you could give to somebody right now that would just save their what?
Yep. Yeah, so I mean, you definitely, again, the great thing about Amazon is they give us so much data. And so you really, to minimize your risk, you want to rely heavy on the data that Amazon has given us. And you can use third-party tools like Camel, or Keepa. And so, you know, again, what I say is you only want to sell what Amazon is clearly showing us there's consumer demand for, right? Because that minimizes your risk then. And that's the great thing about this too is, you know, you can take a risk, and so you can buy $3,000 worth of product. And this is what I tell members of my course. If the margins are there, right, and this is the question I always ask myself when I'm bringing a new product to market, is if the floor were to drop out, you know, if for some reason there was like a ton of competitors, you know, or the consumer demand just like overnight died off, which never happens. It's never like a cliff, you know, it'll die slowly. Can I sell these units and maybe break even or just lose a little bit of money? And generally, the great thing about this business, right, is that's how it is. The risk is you're probably going to break even or maybe lose just a little bit of money, because for the most part, your margins are so good when you're importing from China or when you're importing from India. So that's kind of the first thing that I tell people is, you know, when you're looking at a product, make sure that the consumer demand is there. Use Amazon's data, right, to drive that decision making, and then make sure the margin is there. Because if you have enough margin where you can drop the price and blow it out and break even or lose a couple dollars, then that's probably a pretty good product to go with. And so, you know, that's like the couple tips. The third one is what was mentioned already. Definitely want to look at the competition. And so, you know, there are a number of products on Amazon. Like if you type in silicone barbecue kitchen glove, you'll see like 100 listings, right, that come up. Or one that a lot of people use is a garlic press. You know, if you type in garlic press, you'll see like 1 million listings. That's just something that you want to stay away from, right? You don't want to touch those things. The second thing is you want to improve upon a product. And so, you know, when I'm looking to bring something, again, it's already selling on Amazon, so I'm going to analyze that listing. I'm going to look at the reviews on the listing, and that's key. When you see a product that you want to copy basically or put your brand on, read the Amazon customer reviews. Go down on the product page and see what else that customer bought when they bought that product, right? Because Amazon tells us that, and that's your bundle. And so, you know, what I tell people too is differentiate your product. Don't just copy it. And so, you know, if it's the iPhone cord that you want to bring, you know, and put your brand on it, add something to it, bundle it with something, make your listing a little different to bring value to it. So, you know, those are just 3 quick tips that if you're researching a product, you want to kind of add all those things in. That's going to help you on your way to success.
Do you think it would overcomplicate the process for somebody who's like overwhelmed with everything, having to bundle an item? Because aren't you having to go through like 2 different suppliers, or maybe you're having to negotiate with one supplier and get both sent in, and now you're going over 2 samples? I mean, am I just kind of overthinking it, or?
Yeah, I mean, it could, but a lot of times, you know, when you're purchasing a product that customers also buy, it's usually related, and a lot of times the suppliers are going to have multiple products, and so they're not just going to have one. But as far as dealing with suppliers, which is kind of the next step, so, you know, you say you found your product, and then what I always say is you want to go to Google Patents, make sure there's not a patent on the product. Google's pretty good. You know, you're not going to do a full lawyer search. In order to do a full lawyer search, you're paying like $20,000 or something, right?
Sell your car.
Yeah. But you can do a nice layman search, right, with Google. So before you start spending a lot of time searching, right, on Alibaba or wherever, just do a little search, make sure there's no patents on it. And then what's cool, what I found connecting with manufacturers in China, they're actually really good to work with. And so I talk to them on Skype. I'll talk to them on Alibaba Chat. I don't use email anymore. Email is too long, too tedious.
Wow.
The lag time will take like 2 to 3 weeks. And so when I'm out on Alibaba, there's a little blue guy that will come up, and if they're live there, you can start chatting with them right away. And so I've been able to narrow that time down where once I start chatting with one on Alibaba with a sales rep, I can usually get a sample that same night, like within an hour. And so that's huge because you want to shorten that time, you know, as much as possible.
Gerald Goodall And you kind of just answered this question. Can you buy one unit to test without buying many units? And I think he's referring to the samples you were just talking about. Correct, Andy?
Yeah, absolutely. And what's so cool, Steve, too, is Alibaba's starting to do this more and more. So Alibaba, all it is a platform that manufacturers advertise on, right? And so, like, if I'm a manufacturer in China, I can pay Alibaba $5,000, and they'll let me advertise on there. And so you're basically just connecting with these manufacturers in that kind of way. But what they're starting to do more and more is these manufacturers are having checkouts on Alibaba, just like AliExpress. And so, like my last product, instead of dealing with a sales rep, I just checked out right from the manufacturer right there. 4 days later, now this is airshipped from Hong Kong. 4 days later, that product was on my doorstep, 50 units, which is a great test product. Now, I paid $13.50 a piece for it, doing it that way. If I then put a large order in, say for like 2,000 units, I'm only going to pay $7.50. But that's a great way to get started. Now, this product sells for $40, so I'm still making good margins, even only paying $13.50. But as that begins to happen more and more on Alibaba, the process just gets a lot simpler.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's one thing I've been learning from your course is, don't get ahead of yourself and just get super, super excited. Try to get that minimum order if you can and really test it out. And I thought that was just an awesome idea that you got 50 because there really is a lot more liability. I'd assume, again, I've never launched my own product, but when you put up all that money and everything. So, again, make sure you get your samples, and if you get that lower amount, that'll definitely help. Eric Young, any questions you've seen coming in?
Oh, there's so many.
Bring the questions, Eric, man. Bring them in.
How many active SKUs do you have on private label, Andy?
So I have right around 35 right now.
Okay. Wow. Is there a min or a max order that you can have to make with private label? I guess that you already answered in the... I guess it varies by manufacturer. Sometimes they'll give you samples.
Well, even that's negotiable, right, Andy? I mean, certain manufacturers will say minimum order is like 1,000, but you can still negotiate to a lower number, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, like on Alibaba, it's a little harder, but this is a little tip too. If you for a week, and this you have to do this religiously every night with a sales rep. You just gotta keep pounding away at them. Say their MOQ is 1,000. Keep pounding away and saying, hey, look, I want to do business with you. I want to have a long-term relationship with you. And you do that for 7 days straight, they will finally break and come down to like 500, right? But it takes a week of consistent communication every single night because they want to know you're serious. You got to think about it. They get like 1,000 inquiries probably every day, from different people. But if you're consistent with it and you keep beating down the door, they will lower their MOQ.
I got a quick question before Eric fields some more questions. I haven't gotten to this part in your course, the Alibaba to Amazon course. Do you happen to have any scripts in that course that kind of that will like help me or anyone who takes it, like what exactly to say to the manufacturers?
Yeah, so we definitely do. We have some in the files.
That's good.
But generally when you're talking to it's a sales rep, and you got to think they're probably like between 19 and 22.
Oh, okay.
And so those are the kind of you're dealing with kind of the low level, entry level folks when you're negotiating at that level.
Awesome, thank you, Eric. Any more questions coming in?
There's one by the Slow Crafter. Andy, is your course usable for Canadian sellers? Like, are the principles kind of the same? Are there going to be different rules and regulations for the importing?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's very similar. The importing, if you're in Canada, what you always want to do is you want to try to bring it right to the Amazon warehouse. And so, thankfully, every week there's more and more freight forwarding companies who are figuring it out where you can actually have your product labeled there in China and have it sent directly to the Amazon warehouse so you're not seeing or touching the product.
Oh, wow.
That was my next question. That was going to be my next question. That's awesome.
People were asking that in the comments. They wanted to know, is it easy to have that done? Is there a lot of logistics and processes and training videos you have to hand over to this manufacturer to make sure? Because we have a lot of Amazon FBA folks, and you guys know there's a process to it, and if you mess one thing up, it's like, whoo.
Yeah, you definitely have to get a right freight forwarding company. You definitely have to get a customs agent. That's just part of doing business. But the money that you save, and this is in regards to shipping by boat, so it's going to cost you about $400 to get a year bond, which means you can bring in as many shipments as you want. That's by boat. If you're shipping by Air Express, and you always have to specify Air Express, because if you don't say Air Express, the Chinese will try to make a little bit of money on shipping, and a lot of times your stuff will get caught in customs. And so you always have to say Air Express. Then you don't have to get a customs agent, but you're paying through the nose for shipping. And so, what I always tell people is you want to try to be patient, and you want to try to ship by boat as much as possible, because your margins are going to be so much better than your competition.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. So we've talked about sourcing products and researching. Real quick, do you use any tools? There's a question. Do you have any tools or software you use to help along the process? And I'm kind of fishing right here because I already know what I just invested in the other day, man. And my mind is like, wow, why didn't I do this sooner? But do you use any software, man?
Yeah, so I mean, the absolute best one is Greg Mercer's Jungle Scout. He just has done a phenomenal job. He knocked it out of the ballpark when he made that software. He continues to innovate and make it better, but he's really made it easy being able to find product and filter through, his system there, his software that's already selling on Amazon. Now, you got to understand, you can filter through a category. I had programmers that were coming to me just in the past year. It would take them 6 hours to do filters through a program, that they have. You can do that now in like 6 seconds through Greg's program, and then you can change it, and so you can filter, and then if you want to add something or take something away, you can do it again. And so he says that he has like a huge warehouse of servers.
I highly recommend everyone watch one of those webinars by Jungle Scout. He has a Chrome extension, and then he has a web-based. I only have the Chrome extension, which is awesome, but the web-based is just like, I know I have to invest in it. I know I definitely do.
So what's the price difference?
Well, the Chrome extension, I think, is a one-time fee. I think I paid like a little over $100 for life. You might be able to get some discount codes. I don't have any right now. I don't know if, Andy, do you have any discount codes for them?
I don't. I think that the web one is $40 a month, but you can do a free trial, I think, for 7 days. Just to check it out. It's pretty incredible. Or just use it for a month and then stop it. Find your product. Just do like a month-long intensive research, and then you don't really need it anymore.
So let's say you research, you're using Jungle Scout, or you're using maybe Andy's methods. Everyone's got a different method for doing it, but let's say you find a product, the margins are there, it's not patented or trademarked, and the legal stuff, the liability really isn't there as much. Too much, and you order, you meet up with a supplier, you find a good supplier, you get the sample, everything passes, you like it, you want to put in the big order. What have I missed anything, or what's going on in your head now when you've got that sample, Andy, and you're like, I like this, and I want to order a bunch of them, or a minimum MOQ. Like, what's going on in your mind?
Yep, sure. So let's just stop at the sample process, because this is the huge piece to the puzzle. When you always have to get a sample. One of the difficult things about when you're importing from China, a lot of times the quality is not that good. It's gotten a lot better. From people that I've talked to that have been in the industry for a while, they say it's like head and shoulders better than even what it used to be like 10 years ago. But you always, before you place a large order, you have to get a sample, and you have to fall in love with that sample. It has to be exactly what you want. So I'll give you a quick story when I was first starting out. So I was selling these bamboo nursing pads, right? So new moms, have babies, and so they use nursing pads to catch the milk. I had some really good sellers. Dealing with a manufacturer who was providing me some really good product, and I wanted to tweak the product, okay? And so I was reading the reviews on another one that was selling on Amazon, so I made a little tweak to it, and I made it a little bigger, right? And so I sent that to my sales rep, and I thought everything was cool. And so, she got it. She said, yeah, and I got it. So I didn't get a sample, though. So I said, just go ahead, I want to order 2,000, right? She said, all right, great. So they had them made. They showed up. These things were the size of like pancakes, all right? And so now you think of nursing pad, right? It's like pretty small. It's got to fit under the bra. These things were huge. I mean, just think of like the biggest pancake I've ever seen. That's how big these babies were. So I was like, oh, crap. But it's because I failed to get the sample.
Yeah.
And so the cool thing is, and again, this is where I say sometimes, Amazon is crazy. I sold through all of those. I just put extra large nursing pads. So, it must have been for moms like with huge, I guess, breasts. But they all sold. And I didn't lose any money on them.
That's awesome.
I have no idea what a nursing pad is. I'm on Google Images right now trying to figure this out.
Yeah, so they catch mom's milk. After mom nurse, they still leak a little bit.
Oh, to make their shirt not wet?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I got it.
Yeah.
Never knew that was a
we
problem.
got Torrin B1 in the house. Green Room member. He says, Torrin B1 says, Andy is the man because he's revealed more of his products than anyone else out there. LOL. I know why he's laughing because people are frightened. No one else will even hint at what they are selling. And I'll be honest with you, Andy. I didn't know much about you. I saw you spoke. I had seen you speak at the Baltimore event, the e-commerce event, and I didn't know much about you. I just knew your reputation was good. But when you started being very, very transparent and releasing your information, when I knew it's risky. Let's be real. It's risky. It really connected with me, and that's why I invested in your course, to be honest, man. And I'm super happy about that. So I'm glad other people are appreciating that as well. Torrin B says the web app is awesome. I got to try it. I definitely got to try it. I'm just looking through the questions. Somebody asked earlier, Brent Ritterbeck asked a question, but I'm going to kind of rephrase it because I've been seeing this question a lot. He asked, can you get started with $5,000? But I think a better question is, how much money should someone have set aside to start a business like this without putting their family in jeopardy or, really getting hurt? Do you have any advice for this?
Yeah, so there was actually a member in the group who just wrote a post, which I thought was fantastic. He suggested, and I probably agree with him, if you have 5,000 or 6,000 that you can kind of gamble, this is the best way that I look at it, that you don't need it to live on, that you can float that for 4 or 5 months. That's actually the best way because you're just going to be looser. If you're trying to use money that you have to depend on, I think anyway, you're a lot tighter. You're probably a lot more reserved. But I mean, if you have 5,000 or 6,000, that's a really good amount where you can pick a product and have a good amount of inventory when you start to sell through it. Because I'll be honest, the people in my course, and it's funny that you were talking about when you first started the course, Steve, and then you kind of put it aside. There's so many people do that, and I compare it to like an exercise bike, right? Because we started at the beginning of the year, January 1st. People get like exercise equipment in their house, and they're like the first week they're riding that baby hard, and then it just sits, no one uses it anymore. And that's kind of like what happens a lot of times with private label. People see the potential, they kind of go hard, and then it just kind of, because there's so many hurdles you got to get over, it kind of sits. But if you have that kind of money, that's phenomenal. I have had members in my group that have done it for 500. Even like when I just referred to that product that I purchased on Alibaba, I checked out with my credit card. So that cost me like $600 total, and that was 50 units, which is a great start, as far as starting to have a sales history.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You guys seen any more questions coming in? I know I do, but I want you guys to chit-chat a little bit.
Yeah, no, it says here, this is Eli. Do you test a sample on Amazon before, we've already answered that. Eli, go when the show is over, go back and watch the earlier part of the show.
The replay, yep.
Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, so if you find another question, just let me know, Yang. I know there's a lot of questions coming in, and some have been answered and whatnot. But what are your plans, Andy, man? You've been doing this for a while. I'm sure you've made your fair deal of mistakes and your successes. Where do you maybe we could kind of give some context, and we could talk about where do you see yourself in a couple of years? What direction are you going, or
Sure.
you know, what's going on in Andy Slamans' mind?
Yeah. So last year, so the first year I sold on Amazon part-time, I did 120. Second year, I was full-time for about half the year, I did 420. This past year, 2015, I did close to 900,000. And so my goal this year is to do 1.5 million. And again, this is like, we're talking gross sales here. And when you knock down all those numbers, you know, and the more you make, the less percent you net. But you know, like on $1.5 million, I'll probably net like around 15%, which is a really good living. I mean, a lot of doctors don't even make that kind of money. And so, yeah, I just see unlimited potential. And as I've been able to grow, and as my cash flow has been able to grow, I've been able to kind of purchase products from people too. And so, you know, as my business has grown, I've been able to do less time in research because people who want to who want to earn or make some capital are selling me their products, which has been a cool part of the business for me. And so some of my best products my last private label products have been ones that I've purchased from other sellers, you know, and I've given them a good purchase price. But and so yeah, that's definitely what I want to do. I just want to continue to grow, and if I'm not doing the research, I want to acquire other products that people have, you know, and pay them top dollar for it.
I'm trying to think how to say this. What are your thoughts on the competition on Amazon? And again, I pride you on your honesty, so I really wouldn't ask any other person but you. But do you see the competition increasing, or do you, like, because I know there's a lot of folks out there, they always ask me when I started Kindle, eBay, and Amazon, everyone's always worried about the competition. And I think that's maybe a flaw that a lot of humans have, because a lot of times we're just like, we're a lot of people are born and raised, even myself, like, believing that like there's not enough and there's not abundance, and like I feel like a lot of us have that thought and mindset that like we have to fight, like there's not enough. Like, what are your thoughts? Like, is there enough out there? Like, just like on a real like truth tip right here, like what's going on with the competition? Are more people coming in? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I definitely think there's more sellers coming in, but I also think there's more Amazon buyers coming in. And I think that we've really it's just the tip of the iceberg as far as customers, because not only do we have a huge customer base still, right, in the U.S., because there's only 10% of all goods are still purchased online. So you can imagine, but that number is growing 20 to 30% every year. And just look at the Prime numbers. How many more Prime members, right, every year Amazon continues to get. And then when you add to that, right, the global Amazon, so if you start selling in the UK, Europe, Japan, that number is just going to continue to grow, I think, even faster than what the U.S. number is. And so you have these two things. Yeah, there's definitely more sellers, but there's definitely more buyers coming into the market. And so, no, I don't think that we've reached a tipping point yet. I still think that it is in the infancy and that it's going to continue to grow. I do think you got to be smart. You can't sell, you know, again, like garlic presses or what everyone else is selling. But you know, I still think that we're at the very beginning. The rocket ship is just taking off.
Yang, I'm going to put you on the hot seat right now, Yang. I love putting Yang in the hot seat.
Talk to me.
If you could pick a product right off the top without even researching it or knowing the margins or whatever, what's something that you would like to private label?
Martial arts products.
Oh.
A what?
Martial art products. That's.
Oh, cool.
I have a background in martial arts, something that I'm very passionate about. I haven't done it in years because of my back injury, but man, if I can come up with a product, something new, something fresh, it would definitely be in that category.
I don't even think, just to butt in for a second, I don't even think you need to come up with something new and fresh, because one thing I've been learning from Andy's course, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, is you could just model success and then make it better, right? Add a bundle or do something different. Do people have to find something brand new and fresh that has never been on Amazon before, or do you suggest going after something already having success?
Yeah, no, definitely, like that, like what you just said there, and this is what I tell people too, is you want to start in something that you're passionate about, something that you know about. So my last product, I do CrossFit. My last product, I didn't find it on Amazon. So I was working out at the gym, right? And these guys brought in these barbell collars, all right? They're like these super high-end ones. I'd never seen them before. Normally at the gym, you use these like silver clamp things, you know, they're all like in a 5-gallon bucket. But the coaches, right, brought in these premium, and these things look nice. I'm like, man,
they have like latches, right? They latch, and then it clamps. It has like Kevlar on the inside. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and so I'm looking at those. I'm like, crap. And so I look on Amazon. There was only one seller. And so in this, and he was, you know, he says anyway that it's patent pending. I have not been able to find the patent yet. That is a trick that a lot of times people will say, you know, it's patent pending to try to scare people away. But there was only one seller on Amazon. And so that to me, and then I look on Alibaba, and I can source them on Alibaba. And so that's how I found that product. But it was something that I was interested in and something that I knew about.
That's really cool.
Hey,
That's really
Andy,
cool.
just a little side note. CrossFit started here in California, about 30 minutes from where I live in Santa Cruz. There's a small little beach community called Santa Cruz.
That's awesome.
They used to run it out of a small warehouse. And I kid you not, before CrossFit even blew up, I used to go to that gym, and I swear, you pay $10, you go work out.
That's awesome.
You wouldn't want to go back.
Right.
Hell out of me. Just a little side note, but yeah.
Right, no, that's awesome. Well, you know what? CrossFit is a genius business model because they just take like abandoned warehouses, right? Or you know, like old places, and then you know, turn them into this gym that costs a buttload, man. I pay like $120 a month to go to this thing, but it's worth it because the coaches there are great.
Yeah.
Man, I gotta start going to CrossFit, man.
Are you a paleo CrossFitter?
You know what? I'm trying to get better at eating because we all know, right? Eating's like 80% of the whole battle, but it's so hard.
We got a ton of questions coming in. We got our main man, Hustler Hacks, who's actually our graphic designer for the Green Room. Remember when I sent you the graphic to the show, Andy? You're like, wow, that's amazing. Who did that? And I'm like, Hustler Hacks. He's in the comments section. So real quick, got to do a little plug for my man, my main man, Hustler Hacks. Hit him up. He's doing graphics for Kindle books, for merch by Amazon, for private label. So glad to have him here. He asked the question, how much does graphic design, logo, branding, packaging play a role in creating a great private label product, Andy?
Okay. So, and people have different views, different philosophy on this. And members in my course, some of them really go for premium packaging. And I would say for a long-term play, that's definitely the best way to go. You know, if this is a brand that you really believe in, if it's something you're passionate about, and you're like, man, this thing could have legs and can grow really big, then you want to spend your time on that premium packaging. I probably fall on the other end, though. All of my packaging is very basic. In fact, most of my products are just in poly bags, because I think that Amazon customers, for the most part, don't really care what their product comes in. And the reason I say that is Amazon themselves, they have frustration-free packaging, and I'm sure they've done a ton of research into that. Now, I take awesome professional photos of my product. So I spend like $500 just in photos for every product that I bring. And the photos are awesome because I think photos are what sell the product on Amazon. And so that's really where I spend a good chunk of my money is on those photos. And packaging, I minimize it. I don't spend very much money at all. However, again, that's just my philosophy. If you think it's a long-term play, you definitely want to go with premium packaging.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Another question, how about creating and designing your own products from home? For example, jewelry, bags, etc. Is the process to private label the same without using an overseas source?
Yeah, you know, it really, and this is the great thing, it's really about bundling. So you want to create a private label product, and this is a question, every conference I go to, I ask two questions. I ask how many people private label, and usually about 2 or 3% will raise their hand. The second question I ask is, how many of you bundle? Same thing, 2 or 3% of people will raise their hand. And when I bundle, it could be something that you make as well. And that's a huge opportunity, and nobody does it, Steve. You know why? Because it's work. You know, and you're in the course. You saw the bundle that the member just made for Easter, and she's gonna sell the mess out of that Easter basket. She's making $20 on each unit, but nobody does it, and it's what Amazon customers want. At Christmas time, I get email after email from Amazon themselves telling me, make Christmas bundles. Our customers want easy, right? But guess what? Nobody does it because it takes more work, you know? But really, all you're doing, that's a private label product. You make your own unique bundle. You have to get a UPC. You don't even have to import, you know? And you can get that from wholesalers. You can get that, like this, our friend who's in the course, she bought this from Dollar Store. You know, and so she has these dollar store items, and the price point is $40 that she's selling that, and she'll sell through those in a week as soon as they hit.
But Andy, so like you were saying, a lot of people don't do it because it's a lot of work. But let's say you're getting one product from one manufacturer in China and another product from another manufacturer in China. Is there a way to somehow have those two manufacturers bundle the product instead of you having those products shipped to you and you have to bundle it yourself and label everything? I think that's what people are afraid of, right? They just don't want to.
Yeah, so actually I just did that. I had two different manufacturers. They manufactured different items, and I had one of the manufacturers ship it to the other manufacturing place, and then that manufacturer bundled it for me.
Okay.
What blows me away is like the Chinese folks are so much more accommodating and really want to work with you, and they have the system down. You know, they've been doing it for I don't know how long, a lot of years, and so their processes are so much smoother. I find a lot better communication with them than with U.S. wholesalers. U.S. wholesalers are like, yeah, I can take your business or or leave you. You know, they're not very customer service oriented. Totally different working with Chinese folks that I found.
We got a lot of people watching right now.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Steve.
I was gonna say we have a lot of people watching right now, man. People are loving this stuff. What's your question, Young?
No, I saw a question that says, have you tried private labeling anything from America? Just kind of going off what you were talking about, U.S. manufacturers. Have you sourced anything from U.S. manufacturers, Andy?
You know what? I haven't, because here's the thing. Like, so in China, we have Alibaba, right, which is a great platform that you can connect with manufacturers. No one in America has come out with a marketplace yet that is good at connecting with manufacturers. There is one, I can't think of it off the top of my head, but it's just not very user-friendly, right? And so, again, this is like something when I go to conferences and when I talk to people in this space, they all say there's a huge opportunity there. If somebody can come up with a platform like Alibaba, but here in the U.S., where buyers could connect with manufacturers, that would be huge. But no one has that yet, so it's hard to do. And then the second piece is you're going to pay a lot more. And so, your margins are just go through the roof when you're buying from U.S., unfortunately.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Do we even have that kind of manufacturing going on here that there is in China?
Yeah, absolutely. There's actually a lot of plastic manufacturers in the U.S. A lot of times what plastic manufacturers will do, they'll have their molds made in China. So to make a mold here in the U.S., it's going to cost you between $30,000 and $40,000, right? If you have that same mold made in China, they can usually do it for a third. So you're probably paying between like $10,000 and $12,000. So they'll have the mold made there, and then they'll ship the mold to the U.S. and actually manufacture it here because it's cheaper to manufacture different plastic items here than it would be to do it there and then to ship it over.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So we've got about 10 or 11 minutes until the show ends. So first and foremost, I want to thank everyone in the audience for all the great comments. I mean, I've watched a lot of private label webinars and shows, and I mean, this audience is just killing it. So got to give a round of applause for everybody watching right now. Everyone's excited, pumped up, passionate, and that gets me excited and everyone else as well. So We appreciate you all watching. I want to ask you, though, hit the like button. It helps to get this video out, helps to spread the positive message about Andy and what he's doing. And real quick, I want to transition over for the last 10 minutes because I think it's fair that we give people a chance to learn a little bit more about your course and kind of what you offer. And again, I'm not just somebody who's saying, hey, you know, check out the course. I've never taken it. I'm going through the course. I've never launched a product yet, but I'm learning a ton. And I really do feel like I have fast-tracked my success. Again, literally, I just messaged Andy before the show and showed him a product. And he thinks it's a winner. Obviously, I have more work to do, but I'm excited and I'm pumped up. So let's just get straight to the point. And one thing I do want to mention as well is the link to his you have 2 courses, right? Isn't Alibaba to Amazon, is that closed?
Yes.
So that's closed. You do have a new course that you've created, and I've looked over the outline, and it looks amazing. And I think there's a lot more benefits to that one as well. Not to say the other one isn't good as well, but it's a lot more structured. And I asked Andy to come on the show, and he said he would open up that course for, what, an extra week you kept it open for? I don't know if you're closing that tonight or...
Yeah, it is just for your members.
Okay, so he has another course, and could you talk about what it is and... Like, let's just be real. How would it benefit people to take the course? Why can't they just go out there and learn it for free? Like, let's just get straight to the point.
Yep. Yeah, so what I often compare it to, when I first started learning about private labeling, super nervous. I heard about Alibaba, a little nervous about ordering from there because I had heard of different scams. But the way that I did, I had a friend that showed me how. Her name was Maggie Cusin. And so she was willing to kind of mentor me. I paid her $1,000. I said, just teach me everything that you know. And so she really walked me through step by step. And I think she probably cut the learning curve. Like you said, all the information is out there. You know, if you want to dig through Google and if you want to go through all the different Facebook groups or forums, you can find and you can figure out how to do it yourself. I really wanted to have a mentor like her, because I knew that this was a business model I wanted to do, and I didn't want to make any big mistakes. So I gave her $1,000. She kind of held my hand and walked me through the process. And I think like the course that we've put together now, it's similar kind of way. So you know, it's a jumpstart course. It goes through step by step, basically, so that you're not going to fall into those pitfalls that a lot of times people fall into. And even me knowing, right, how to private label, there are different things you can fall into. I'll have to save this story for another day, but I lost $10,000, right, one time, and it was all because I didn't set up a promo code correctly on Amazon. And I knew what I was doing. That's the crazy part. And so at 12 o'clock at night, I wasn't paying attention. When you set up a promo code, you have to uncheck a little box. It is the screwiest way. Amazon, when I called the next morning, they say it happens every day. So 12 o'clock, forgot to check the box, right? The next morning I wake up, 1,000 units were gone in 4 hours, right? It got put like on Fat Wallet and Slick Deals.
I was gonna say it was on the front page of Slick Deals.
yeah. $10,000. It was like I took $10,000 and flushed it down the toilet. And so I was sick, man. And But yeah, so I mean, there are different nuances, different things like that. You got to really make sure you know what you're doing. And so that's what we are able to do, I think, in the course, and we go through step by step like that. So that's the good part. I always say, look, you don't got to take my course, you know, but if you want to import and you want to private label and you want to really kind of make this part of your business, I highly recommend that you take somebody's course. Because it can get tricky when you're talking about importing, especially by boat, and then when you're talking about vetting manufacturers that you're dealing with in China.
Somebody asked a question, they asked, is this a good course for beginners? Because I know there's courses out there I've taken on Kindle and different courses that are just super advanced. I mean, for someone who's, I feel like a lot of people watching maybe have a little knowledge. I mean, is it going to walk them through the whole process of like how to actually find, you know, a product, how to actually talk to the suppliers, I mean, how to actually list on Amazon? Because again, I haven't gone through this second course. I've only gone through your first one. I know it hits it in that. What can people expect?
Yeah, so it does. So this course is really designed for someone who's like brand new to selling on Amazon. But it has a very, very detailed section on private labeling. So we cover the Amazon Selling Foundation basics, you know, from registering your account, understanding Amazon FBA. We go through essential tools, where we talk about using tools like Jungle Scout, Camel, Keepa. Then the biggest piece of the course, because this is the question that new sellers will often ask, is what product should I sell, right? That's always the question that I get asked. So the biggest piece is creating your own private label brand, where just like what we talked about tonight, we go through, there's like 20 steps basically that you're going to go through, and that's from researching your product all the way to launching your product successfully. We do talk a little bit about wholesale, we talk a little bit about online, and then you're also, when you purchase the course, you join the mastermind group. And this is where I think the real benefit is, just like the course you're in with Alibaba to Amazon, you have access to me as well as my partner, basically on 24/7. I'm kind of like you, Steve. I live my life on Facebook. Very rarely, and when I sat out to teach a course, one of the things I always wanted to do was to reply to anyone that asked me a question. My goal was to reply minimum within 24 hours. And the reason why my previous job, I used to have managers that I would write questions that were of urgent nature, and they would never open my email. That would piss me off so much. And so, when I set out to really start teaching people, I want to try to connect and answer their questions as much as possible. And so far, we've been able to do that.
And I could say firsthand that he's telling the truth. I've messaged him a couple times, even before I invested in the course, because let's be real, I mean, it is a good chunk of change. I'm not 100% what the second course cost, but I know for the first one that I paid about $700, and I was a little unsure, and I messaged you, and you were on it, man, like boom, and I was like, holy mackerel. And I've reached out to your partner Maggie, I believe, is her name Rai Rice?
Uh-huh.
Everyone responds quick, so I appreciate it for sure. People are asking, how much is this course? It looks like you have tiers.
Yeah, so the first one is $497. That gives you 2 free months access to the mastermind group. The second one is $697, which gives you 6 months free to the mastermind group. So you're going to want to do one of those two. $497 one works great. Like I said, it's going to give you all the information you need, and then you got 2 full months that you can access us. And if you wanted to be part of the mastermind after that, you can pay. It's a monthly fee.
Exactly, and Andy knows, and we've talked about this before too, like, is it necessary? Like, is the only way to be successful paying for a course? Of course not, but I've purchased multiple courses to learn different things, and it's all about time. Time is money. Do you want to miss out on that one thing that could cost you 10 grand? I guarantee, Andy, man, you would have died to pay for a course that would have taught you what to do with that code.
Yeah.
So I know
like I was saying, I paid for a private label course last year, and let me tell you, I don't want to mention, out of respect to Andy, I don't want to mention the name of the course, but I don't even have direct contact with the guy that put out the course. And it sounds like with Andy's course, you have direct interaction with Andy. So Andy, when I'm ready, man, I'm gonna purchase your course, man. I'm pumped.
Cool.
And I kind of want to be almost like the test dummy, because I'm going through the course, and I'm getting close to choosing a product and going through the next step of talking to suppliers and ordering the sample. So if you guys follow me for a while, I'll tell it how it is. If I have success, I'll tell it. If I fail, odds are it's probably because I was lazy and didn't take action, but I'll tell that as well. So I'm super excited for the process. I think it's a great opportunity, whether you go through his course or you listen to some free podcasts, because there's a lot of great podcasts out there, YouTube videos. So either way, I would suggest looking into it, at least giving it a shot to check out Andy's course. Again, the link is in the description. And just as a disclaimer, I want to be 100% transparent. It is a affiliate link, so we will get a small commission, the Green Room, if you go through that course, which will really allow us to be able to continue adding value and making videos and doing what we do. So we definitely appreciate it, and we appreciate Andy coming on. And I'm just so pumped up, man, that you came on this show, because I really look up to you as a friend and a role model and everything you're doing, man, and it's just awesome. So, Young and Eric, do you have any questions or any questions in the comments? Or?
No, I mean, thanks for being on the show, Andy. And one thing I did want to mention is I think that's an awesome name, Slamans. Right? I mean, you'd be like, hey, who are you? I'm Slamans. That's an awesome name.
Yeah, like in high school, if you got a name like that, that's how everyone calls you, right? And so in high school, I was always Slamans.
Slamans. I'm Slamans.
I gotta ask what the green screen's for.
Yeah, so my partner and I, we've just been playing around, doing a few videos with it, and doing some video editing. So, but I thought it was appropriate being on the green room that I had a green screen too.
Well,
Nice.
That's awesome. So thanks again, Andy, for coming on. We want to keep our word and get you out of here after an hour. Again, check the link in the description for access to his second course. His first course is closed, the one I'm going through, so that probably won't open up for a month or two. I don't know the exact time. And the course that's in the description, that's closing. Is tonight the last night, or are you going to keep it open for a day, or what are you going to do with that, just to be transparent?
No, so yeah, I'll keep it open for a week, but again, it's only open for folks that are associated with the green room.
Awesome. Appreciate it, man. We really do. Thank you. And for everyone watching, you guys are awesome. The questions were great. And if you like this video, hit the thumbs up. Leave a comment just to say hello. How can they follow you, Andy, if they want to learn more about you? I know you've got your website and YouTube. Can you share with everyone how to find you and learn more about what you're doing and all the positive things?
Yeah, so the website is slamazonbros.com. My partner is my nephew. His name's Nathan Slamans. So that's the best way. And then I'm on Facebook, like you. That's usually the easiest way. Just connect on Facebook.
No Snapchat or Periscope or Twitter, man? Or,
dude, I have not figured Snapchat out yet, man.
Everybody Snapchat Andy after the show. No. All right, guys. Thanks again for watching The Green Room. Have a great night. Keep on picking and making that money, and go look at private label. I think there's some money to be made. Peace.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
Bye.